welcome to the self-learning platform by Dr. Sushma Singh. Today we start Unit 7, UN System, Pacific Settlement of Disputes. And we start with topic the UN system, the principal organs. The structure, powers and functions of the UN organs may be studied in order to learn how they contribute to the settlement of disputes. The UN has six principal organs, and for the sake of convenience, we shall start with studying the Security Council. The Security Council initially consisted of five permanent and six elected members. In 1965, the number of elected members were increased to 10, making a total of 15. The increase was prompted by the increase in the membership of the organization. The five permanent members are the United States, Great Britain, France, Russia, and China. Half of the non-permanent members retire every 2 years, and their places are filled by election by the General Assembly. In electing by convention, a pattern of geographical distribution is observed. Under Article 24 of the Charter, the members of organization conferred on the Security Council primary responsibility for the maintenance of international peace and security. By Article 25, the members agreed to accept and carry out the decisions by of the Security Council. Each member of the Council has one vote, and on procedural matters, the Council reaches a decision by a simple majority. On all other matters, a resolution can be adopted by majority of 9 votes. Before 1965, it was 7 votes, including the concurring votes of five permanent members. Concurring votes is interpreted in practice to mean votes of those who are present and vote. Absence from the meeting or absentation from the voting of a permanent member does not prevent the council from adopting a resolution. Only a negative vote cast by a permanent member prevents the adoption of the resolution. Thus, the permanent members are given the power to vote any resolution. The veto power was given to permanent members, taking into account the reality of world politics. If, for instance, a decision is taken against a permanent member, it is difficult to enforce that decision, and that member may leave the organization, causing the organization immense damage. Chapter 6 of the Charter comprises Article 33 to 38, sets out the powers of the Security Council concerning peaceful settlement of disputes. Article 33, Clause 1 states, the parties to any dispute, the continuance of which is likely to endanger the maintenance of international peace and security, shall first of all seek a solution by negotiation, inquiry, mediation, conciliation, arbitration, judicial settlement, resort to regional agencies or arrangements, or other peaceful means of their choice. Clause 2 adds, the Security Council shall, when it deems necessary, call upon the parties to settle their disputes by such means. Clause 1 more or less elaborates the principle set out in Article 2.3. Article 34 empowers the Security Council to investigate any dispute or situation that might lead to international friction or give rise to a dispute in order to determine whether the continuance of the dispute or situation is likely to endanger the maintenance of international peace and security. Such investigation is primarily to deciding whether to take action under Article 33(2). Article 35 gives power not only to the disputing parties but any member of the UN, any non-member if it accepts the obligations of pacific settlement of disputes under the Charter, to bring to the attention of the Security Council any dispute or situation the continuance of which is likely to endanger the maintenance of international peace and security. Under Article 36, the Security Council may, at any stage of the dispute or situation likely endanger the maintenance of international peace and security, recommend to the parties appropriate procedures or methods of adjustment, taking into consideration the procedures that have already been adopted. In making the recommendations, the Security Council should also take into consideration that disputes on question of law, as a general rule, must be referred by the parties to the International Court of Justice in accordance with the provisions of the Statutes of the Court. According to Article 37, if the parties to the dispute fail to settle any dispute by following the procedures mentioned in Article 33, they are bound to refer it to the Security Council, and the Security Council, if it deems that the continuance of the dispute is likely to endanger the maintenance of international peace and security, may decide to recommend appropriate procedures or methods of adjustment under Article 36 or such terms of settlement as it may consider appropriate under Article 37. The recommendation under Article 36 concerns procedures or methods of adjustment, and under Article 37 terms of settlement. If the dispute or situation is of such nature that its continuance is not likely to endanger international peace and security, the Security Council is not competent to take any action. However, under Article 38, if all the parties to the dispute so request, it may make recommendations with a view to peaceful settlement of the dispute. This is in general an unlikely contingency, the reasons for which will be noticed below. However, it always is open for the parties to request the Security Council or any international organ to give a binding decision, that is, one in the nature of an arbitral decision. It will be noticed that the power given to the Security Council under Chapter 6 is only a power to recommend. It is in the nature of soft power, the power of persuasion. A party is not bound to carry out a recommendation, but a recommendation is not totally devoid of effect. First, there will be always an expectation that if a recommendation is totally ignored by a party. Further decision of the council on the dispute are likely to be adverse to such the party. Second, the party to which a recommendation is made is bound to take note of the principle of good faith stated in Article 2.3. The party may have liberty to consider when, in what manner, and to what extent the recommendation may be carried out, but it cannot totally disregard the recommendations. Third, a party comply with the recommendation is unlikely to be considered as having acted illegally, and then the recommendation may legitimize the action taken by compliance with it. The Security Council is not like the cabinet of a nation government. The members of the council will be acting always taking into consideration first their respective national interest, then the interest of their client states, and next the functions of the organization. The council is not a judicial organ. It and its members are influenced by political considerations. For this reason, the parties to the dispute will generally be inclined to avoid bringing the dispute before the council, and likewise third parties. There should be sufficiently compelling reasons to bring a dispute before the council, such as when a small power faces coercive measures from a powerful adversary. The plurality of members of the council having different interests might neutralize to some extent the power of the more powerful adversary. Chapter 7, comprising Article 39 to 51, deals with disputes or situations that present a threat to the peace, breach of the peace, or an act aggression. It may be seen that competence of the Security Council to intervene extends from dispute or situations the continuance of which is likely to endanger the maintenance of international peace and security to situations of threat to the peace, breach of the peace, or act of aggression. At any stage in this wide range of situations, the Council may intervene and take appropriate and feasible measures. It is the Security Council that has power to determine the existence of a threat to the peace, breach of the peace, or act of aggression under Article 39. After making the determination, the Council may make recommendations or decide on measures to be taken in accordance with the Article 41 and 42. Before taking any measure under Article 41 and 42, it may call upon the parties to comply with any provisional measures that it may consider necessary or desirable. The provisional measures shall be without prejudice to the parties' rights, claims, or positions, but the Council is bound duly to take into action the failure to comply with the provisional measures. Unlike Article 41, the Security Council may decide what non-violent measures may be taken and may call upon the members to take such measures. The measures may include economic sanctions, termination of communications, and even severance of diplomatic relations. If the Council finds that the non-violent sanctions applied are inadequate or have proved to be inadequate, it may take such military action as may be necessary to maintain or restore international peace and security under Article 42. In order to take military action, the Security Council should have at its disposal military forces. Article 43 to 47 provide for members placing at the disposal of the Council military forces in accordance with the agreement reached with them. However, as a matter of fact, due to disagreement among the permanent members on the proportion in which forces should be contributed and their location, these provisions have remained a deal letter. Though a military staff committee was appointed, it exists only as a formality. Article 48 provides that the action to be taken for maintenance of international peace and security may be required by the Security Council to be taken by all or some members of the organization. While participating in the measures decided to be taken, the members are required to extend mutual assistance if, while taking preventative or enforcement action, a state, whether a member or not, faces special economic problems, it may consult the Security Council regarding the solution of the problems. Article 51 is designated to harmonize the state's right to self defense with the power of the Security Council to take enforcement action. The article states four propositions. First, nothing in the Charter shall impair the inherent right of individual or collective self defense if an armed attack occurs against a member of United Nations. Second, this right subsists until the Security Council has taken measures to maintain international peace and security. Third, measures taken by members in the exercise of this right shall be immediately reported to the Security Council. Fourth, such measures shall not affect the authority and responsibility of the Security Council to take such action as it deems necessary to maintain or restore international peace and security. Article 51 introduces the expression collective self defense. This is to permit the operation of regional arrangements or agencies for maintaining international peace and security. Chapter 8, consisting of Article 52 to 54, makes provision for the creation and operation of regional arrangements or agencies for maintaining international peace and security, such as the Organization of American States, the Arab League, etc. Article 52 permits the establishment regional arrangements or agencies to deal with matters relating to international peace and security, appropriate for regional action, if such regional arrangements or agencies are consistent with the principles and purpose of the UN Charter. Members of such arrangements or agencies are required to have recourse to them for pacific settlement of disputes before referring them to the Security Council, and The Security Council is required to encourage settlement through such arrangements or agencies. Article 53 requires the Security Council to utilize such arrangements or agencies when considered appropriate for enforcement action under its authority. But the regional arrangements or agencies are barred from taking enforcement action without the authorization of the Security Council. Article 54 prescribes that the regional arrangements or agencies shall at all times keep the Security Council fully informed of the activities undertaken by them to maintain international peace and security. The right of self defense under Article 51 arises if an armed attack actually occurs. Under traditional international law, the right of self defense can be exercised if an armed attack is imminent, even when it has not actually occurred. Has the Charter now restricted the traditional right of self defense so as to preclude anticipatory action? There are two views concerning this question. First, the right is exercisable only if armed attack occurs. Support for this position is drawn from the text of Article 51 and from Article 2(4), which bar threat or use of force against the territory integrity or political independence of the state. The argument against this position is that under the modern condition of nuclear weapons and missile carriers, the first attack on the state may as well be a fatal blow with little scope for the exercise of the right of the self defense. So, an anticipatory action on self defense cannot be ruled out. The International Court of Justice, in its advisory opinion of July 8, 1996, on the legality of threat or use of nuclear weapons, found it difficult to give a clear answer to this question. The right of self defense mentioned here is the defense against an attack by a state. However, there are now non state actors such as Al Qaeda, which engage in terrorist activities. A day after September 11, 2001, when World Trade Center towers in New York and the Pentagon came under terrorist attack, the Security Council, in its resolution 1368 of 12th September 2001, declared that such attacks are a threat against international peace and security. The implication is that enforcement action under Chapter 7 of the Charter can be taken against them, and that self defense against terrorist attack is permissible under Article 51. One of the assumptions underlying the framing of UN Charter was that the cooperation between the allies during World War II would continue, and the five permanent members of the Security Council would be able to keep the peace of the rest of the world. But soon after the starting of the functioning of the UN, serious differences among the allies surfaced. Soviet Union on the one side and the West on the other became fully opposed to each other, and the era of Cold War started. They formed into two blocs, Each side became interested in safeguarding its own interest and the interest of the members of its bloc. To safeguard those interests, they used their veto power. For this reason, most of the time, Council remained paralyzed except to provide a venue for acrimonious debate to publicize their respective positions and expose the aggressive intention of the other side. Overall, from 1946 to 1991, the USSR used the veto power on 114 occasions, the US on 69, the UK on 30, and France on 18. From 1946 to 1980, Security Council acted only when the veto was not used. But in 1980s, the Soviet Union took a less strident up into several parts, and the successor to the Soviet Union showed restraint in using the veto power in order to have good economic relations with the West. China too was similarly restrained for promoting better economic relations with the West, and so from 1991 the Security Council has been playing a more active role. Here we want to wind up this lecture. Thank you so much for your attention.